Welcome to First Look at Tampa's redevelopment. I'm Cathy Unruh. Coming up, the Tampa Heights Community Redevelopment area is buzzing with excitement. We pay a visit to the beautiful Waterworks Park, which opened in August. Next, we head to Eulalia. It's located right next to Waterworks Park. This new restaurant on the Riverwalk features native-inspired food and spirits. Stay with us. It's all ahead. In Waterworks Park with Lena Green, Tampa Heights community leader, and the first thing we've got to say is television shows you pictures, but you almost have to be here to appreciate how beautiful this place is.
Yes, you do. It has turned out to be such a wonderful place. After many years of planning and working, it's fantastic to see the final result now.
It's like a little oasis. You come off the street and behind the buildings, and then it's like you're back out in the Florida wetlands.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of things. It's not only that, but we're on the river, which is probably one of the few parks that are like this. Mm-hmm. We have the other amenities. We have the place for the music festivals, for events. All the other parts of the park is just wonderful.
And over there we can kind of hear the kids splashing in the splash park. It's a lovely day for that too.
Yes.
But let's go way back to the beginning. How did Tampa Heights become a community redevelopment area?
Well, many years ago, under a few mayors ago, the community looked at this area and thought that it was so underutilized. It was on the river. We had great access to the downtown. We had great access to the interstate. It was a key part of Tampa Heights on the south side. And after the community members talked for a while, we determined that this would be a great redevelopment area. Of course, we think other great minds were working at the same time, but we made the request to the mayor, then mayor, that this become a CRA area.
And the mayor at the time was?
The mayor at the time was actually on, before Dick Greco came into office. He was running for office at that time.
Mm-hmm. So what was the park being used for at that time? What was this property?
Well, it had the name park somewhere on it, but there was nothing here that represented a park. The police department had its repair station on this area. Can you imagine, on the river? Of course, the police department was across the street at that time. And the spring itself was just a pond that was just bubbling up water all the time. And so that's what it looked like at that time. And could you imagine that on the river we could do way better with what we were utilizing it for at then? So
what did it take to change it? When did it change, and what have been what has been the progression from then until now?
Well, I think one of the big success stories for what we have here is getting together community, government, business, other organizations, departments within the city of Tampa, all joining together and recognizing that what we had here was a jewel, and that with work and cooperation, we could get it to become something much better than what it was being used for.
And what were the steps along the way with that cooperation?
Well, after talking to the mayor, and when he became mayor, he had agreed that the police department would move from this area, which that was a promise that he did fulfill. The police department moved down to downtown. Mm-hmm. He worked with Stetson. Mayor Greco worked with Stetson, and then had Stetson to be able to build its beautiful facility, which is across the street.
Stetson University.
Stetson University, mm-hmm. Right. And then we in the neighborhood actually worked directly with the residents that lived in this area to help ease the process that's required through the redevelopment, the process of redevelopment. Talk to residents, help to get them to understand that this is the great possibilities for this area. We also were able to reach out to the businesses, and we joined in as a part of the redevelopment process as it's required by the state of Florida, with community involvement and community activity to actually make it happen. And it became a much smoother process, I believe, than had we not been a part and involved, and then government doing its part from its position to get to where we are. Having worked as a community leader for a number of years, we've learned that you get the ideas, you work the process, but the big effort is patience, because things change, administration changed, the economy changed big time. Mayor Eulalia was able to come in and make an agreement with the county government to actually have as many CRAs as we ended up having. So that's one thing that we really know: patience, perseverance, and persistence gets you eventually to where you want to get to.
And along the way, you had the support of government. Lots of different departments were involved helping to make it happen. It was just the process, the economics, and the so forth.
Yes.
How many different departments, I don't expect a number, but who all worked cooperatively to help this happen?
Well, there were several departments, quite a few, because as I said, Florida State law requires a certain process: community development department, the parks and recreation, of course, very much so, and the urban development department, which played a major role in making sure the process of all the unique parts of the community redevelopment law were followed.
You live here, you're part of the community, and you've seen a great deal of community enthusiasm for the park.
Yes, yes, I have. All I have heard were all positive things, all positive. The dog park seemed to be one of the favorites. I was told last night that this person and several others believe that this park is the absolute best dog park because of the design, the way that the material that's used there, the fencing. People are really enjoying that. I spoke to some people about the children's area. That's a hit, big hit with the children. The water, children always enjoy water. That was really, really great. I saw some people fishing on the south end, just relaxed, sitting in their deck chairs, just fishing on the other corner. And of course, coming over to where the restaurant is, that was a big hit. The design and how it complements the park and the green that was maintained, it's just been a wonderful, wonderful project.
And when we talk about the restaurant, we are of course talking about Eulalia, which is next to Eulalia Spring, which is based in the park.
Right, exactly. Again, the Eulalia application was one that the Civic Association, the Tampa Heights Civic Association, identified as the best applicant from the 4 that had submitted. And they made the right decision, because the Gunsmart family and Richard Gunsmart took their time and did a fantastic job.
The park contains a statue commemorating another citizen who really loved this area and did a lot for us. Tell us about her.
Yes, we're also proud to have the Clara Fry statue in the park. She was an African-American lady that many years ago, many years ago, we didn't have any hospitals that served African Americans. And she was so dedicated to the health of our community. She opened her own home to be the hospital for the residents in Tampa. Later on, the hospital was moved across the street, actually where Blake is now, and that became the Clara Fry Hospital. There's a plaque there that commemorates her time there. And then at this time, there's a plaque at Tampa General, an entire wing, in fact, that is named in her honor. We have a statue actually on the Riverwalk that commemorates her time and pays tribute to what she's done for the African American community. This area was mostly an African American neighborhood many years ago as well. So we see the connection there with the history and the past, and bringing the recognition into the future here at this park as well. We have 7 parks in Tampa Heights, and this was one that we counted as one of the not so great parks, but now with the completion of this one, it's by far the top one in Tampa Heights. Also, not only in Tampa Heights, I believe, just a little bit prejudice, you'll understand, but I believe this is, as it's done now, one of the best parks in the city of Tampa.
It's good that you're so proud of something that you've worked on for so long, and deservedly so. It's beautiful here.
It really is, it really is. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to brag a little bit and talk about our involvement and the great gratification that we have now that it's completed.
Thank you, Lena.
Thank you.
We've walked just a few steps through the park to arrive at Eulalia Restaurant, where we're seated with Keith Sedita. He is the managing partner. Let's start with first things first. Eulalia, why the name?
Why the name? Well, when we were given the opportunity to turn this historic building into a beautiful restaurant, we really had a difficult time with the name. We thought about, we could play off of the Waterworks history and the name itself. But then we learned the story of Eulalia and the fact that the spring was named after Eulalia, and we dug a little deeper. It just fit. Richard Gonsmart's mother was referred to as Lele by his daughters, who couldn't pronounce her name, when they were little girls. And when he remembered that story, it just clicked. So he realized that because the story of Eulalia, she was a strong, compassionate young lady, and Richard's mother was also strong and compassionate.
And I want to talk a little bit about who Eulalia was, but just to clarify a couple things.
Sure.
For folks who are watching, Eulalia Springs is right outside this window, and
Correct.
It's an actual natural spring that used to help supply the water in Tampa.
The original water source for the city of Tampa was pumped through this building, and it was until 1930 when the city outgrew it, and the water source relocated to Sulphur Springs. And
when we refer to Richard, we are of course referring to the iconic Richard Gonsmart of the Columbia restaurant family, and this is his brainchild.
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
Let's talk just a little about Eulalia's actual story, Eulalia the person.
Well, Eulalia saved the life of Juan Ortiz, a young Spanish conquistador, and he came over after a previous expedition that didn't go so well. And the chief Higua, who was Eulalia's father, met him and his other explorers with resistance, and there was infighting, and everyone was killed off except for Juan. And Juan was tied up over open fire, and Eulalia stood up to her, again being strong, stood up to her father and said, "Stop, don't kill him, he's just a boy. He's 17 years old." She untied him and nursed him back to health, and he ended up working under the chiefdom for quite some time. And Juan Ortiz told this story to De Soto as he escaped with De Soto as they traveled back up north. So this story predates Pocahontas and John Smith by 80 years. So a lot of people say that story came from this story, right? Good old Tampa.
Interesting. And let's talk a little bit about Richard Gonsmart.
Sure.
His family's been in the restaurant business for generations. Most of us know the Columbia Spanish restaurant, which is based in Ybor, but branches out from there. Just tell us a little bit about the family history, the restaurant history, and then this being Richard's dream.
What's really unique about this property, there's many unique things, but I think about the story that Richard told me, his great-grandfather, Casimiro Hernandez, who worked as the general manager of the Florida Brewing Company in Ybor City. And he saved his money while working as a general manager to open the Saloon Columbia in 1903. And then eventually the Columbia restaurant in 1905, and then the rest is history. So as he worked there, and that building still exists in Ybor, it's still the tallest building in Ybor City. And he saved his money while working there, and they made beer there. And if you think about the time frame where the water came to make that beer, it was right here. So it really comes full circle for Richard, and that inspired us to do our brewery as well.
So we'll move into talking about what Eulalia actually is and what it offers. We'll start with the beer. You make your own beer.
We do. We do. We have a 15-barrel system. We're proud to say we're Tampa Heights' first brewery. Mm-hmm. It's a 15-barrel system, 100% U.S. made from Cambia, Oregon. JV Northwest is the manufacturer. We have 6 flavors. We have 5 core flavors, and then a 6th we rotate throughout the year. We're currently serving our Oktoberfest, and it's been very well received.
And your focus on the food is all about native, local, Florida produced.
Yes, we like to say that we're telling a story of Tampa's history through our restaurant in different ways, especially our menu. So when we say native inspired, when you hear our name, Eulalia, native inspired foods and spirits, not so much Native American, but native to this land. And our food items, if you look at the menu, there's one element to each item that ties somehow to that story in different ways, whether it be indigenous ingredients, the style of cooking, perhaps the name. We have a dessert we call Fortune Taylor's guava pie. And Fortune Taylor was an African-American slave that lived here in Tampa Heights, and she was homesteaded 30 acres when she was freed. It was right here along the river, some of which is now Curtis Hickson. And she became a successful businesswoman, and her business was baking. And so we made this dessert in her honor. So with different things that we tell the story of Tampa's history in different ways with the menu.
So it's not just a meal here, it's a history lesson. It truly is.
I think so. I think so, yes.
You opened in August.
We did.
Business has been brisk.
I was concerned about opening in August. It's a very slow month. September is even slower, typically. In hindsight, I couldn't be happier that we opened in August. Business has been wonderful. So I could only imagine if we opened in February or some of these busier months. So it really worked out perfectly that we opened in August, we think.
Because opening in August gave you a chance to kind of get used to the increasing pace, yes?
Holidays are coming, absolutely.
Tell me what you love about this restaurant. You've worked in various restaurants. What appeals to you?
I love that it's so much more than just a restaurant, and it's a great restaurant. But we're a catalyst to a better future for Tampa Heights. And being a part of that is really important to me, my family, and our staff. When I walk around here at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday and I see all of the families and just enjoying the park or the restaurant, and especially this recent great weather we've had, it really makes me feel good to see that it's changed. I think about the dreams that people like Lena Young have had and other people in this community and the mayor, and it's all happening now. So it's more than just a restaurant to us. It's a big part of Tampa Heights' future. I met Lena when we first started the project over 2 years ago, and I joined the Tampa Heights Junior Civic Association, and we've worked together very closely. We being Eulalia, not just me, but our team and Richard, and we're taking this 100-year-old church just up the street in Tampa Heights, and we're turning it into a youth center. And Richard and I and Chef, we're putting together a culinary program, and we're going to help give opportunities for the youth in Tampa Heights and show them some other options they have for future career moves. We help build a Kaboom playground. We're very involved with the community garden. It's just a great feeling.
So the legacy continues that the Gonsmart family started all those years ago, and now you're part of it.
Yes. Richard was born not too far from here in Tampa Heights. I mean, it comes full circle, like I said. So yes, it certainly does.
Are you a Tampa native?
No, I moved here 8 years ago. I'm from New York originally. I pretty much grew up in Sarasota. But I've certainly got a history lesson over the past couple of years on Tampa.
It sounds like your heart has moved here.
It certainly has.
Well, we're glad.
Thanks
for spending time with us.
My pleasure.
It. Thank you for watching First Look at Tampa's redevelopment. We hope you'll tune in next time as we take a look at the redevelopment activities that are reshaping Tampa. On City of Tampa Television, your city, your station.